um, John Quincy names Henry Clay his Secretary of State. And Andrew Jackson and everyone in the country is like, wait. That guy made you president and you've made him Secretary of State? That looks suspicious. Probably nothing suspicious. Both of them hated Jackson. Like, it's probably as simple as that. But it looks suspicious. And the word corrupt bargain got out there. And for the next 4 years, the supporters of Jackson, who were so angry that they had lost despite winning the electoral, more delegates, they opposed everything that they could, did everything they could to stymie John Quincy Adams, and then they won in 1828. And that part of it also kind of reminds me of the last 4 years, where you had a president win with a minority of the popular vote. And the people were really upset about that, really acted from the get-go, lots of marches, and they struck back with not as much of a vengeance as they thought they would. Like, they were expecting a pretty big sweep of the Democratic Party this year, but they beat him, and so that's another example of a guy winning despite not getting the most, at least votes. Back then it was delegates, and 4 years ago it was popular votes, and it haunting them over the next 4 years and them losing in the rerun, in the rematch.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. I didn't realize that there were 3 future presidents in that runoff, basically, then too, because you have Calhoun, Jackson, and
okay, so Calhoun is not a future president. He's a future vice president.
Vice president, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
And actually, so funny thing about Calhoun, I mentioned he's in there at the race at the start. He pretty quickly realizes he's not going to win, so he decides, I'm actually going to run for vice president, because he didn't have tickets back then. So he ran for vice president basically unopposed, and he became first John Quincy Adams vice president, and then 4 years later he was Andrew Jackson's vice president. So yeah,
that's right. Okay, that's right. And the other thing too is interesting is you mentioned that John Quincy Adams was Secretary of State.
Yeah.
So Madison would have been Thomas Jefferson's Secretary of State. You had like a really big secession there, or really big.
Secretary of State is one of the positions that's like considered one of those like next in line.
Especially then, it seemed like.
Yeah, I'll walk you through it. Yeah, you had George Washington. His Secretary of State was Jefferson, who doesn't immediately follow him, but does follow him. 1800, and then, as you mentioned, Jefferson. His Secretary of State was Madison. Madison's Secretary of State was Monroe.